Mr. Oblowitz, it is a great pleasure to talk to you for a few minutes about this awesome film. In my opinion, it's the type of film that I would love to work with when I grow up. Surely you will get tired of telling the same story, but I need to know how the idea of making this film came about, or since when you have this idea in your head, because it seems like a dream come true for a child or a teenager.
It was. So I mean, it's two things. I started writing it in March of 2020 as lockdown happened and as I watched all the theaters close. So I saw this kind of I was like, "Uh-oh, there's this ripple effect." So my producer and I, Christian, were just like, "Let's write something." At the same time, I grew up on kind of like B movie action VHSs. Just my mom for my birthday would buy me just VHS, like these movies from the 99-cent store and stuff like that. So I grew up on all the whole history of exploit of kind of B movie exploitation from Corman. And as a kid, Dolph Lundgren was actually one of my favorite action stars. A lot of people love Stallone and all them, but I loved. There was this one movie, I Come at Peace by Dolph, that I loved. Um,
Already.
and actually, when we filmed, he signed a vintage T-shirt I had of it.
Oh wow, incredible.
So but it really came out of COVID and watching the lockdown and watching what I saw was maybe the end of something that to me had given me so much joy and so much respite from maybe the chaos around me and
Mhm.
a safe space in a way.
Now that you mention it, and thank you for that. I love the Terrence Howard's character. It reminded me a lot of the black exploitation films. It has this energy, this swagger, this flow. Tell me about if you got some inspiration from this subgenre, the black exploitation, like Dolomite Shaft, Sweetbacks, The Mac.
I
Um,
love those films. Those were the films, some of the films that I grew up in. Here's a crazy fact. My favorite out of all of them was Black Caesar, right? Starring Fred
okay.
Williamson. I was shooting with Terrence, and he goes, Mike, we were just having this beautiful conversation about theater, and he said,
Mhm.
"Oh, my grandma was Mamie Gentry." I go, "From Black Caesar," and he goes, "Yeah, his grandma was an amazing theater actress and only did a few movies, and one of her great roles was in one of my favorite movies, Black Caesar." So
Excellent. Uh-huh.
he came from that, and he's just Terrence, and I personally love those films. I grew up on them. I found them. I kind of voraciously have watched all of those, Melvin Van Peebles, Larry Cohen's movies, all of them. So yeah, I think that was just. I don't think we ever set out to make that, but I knew that that was always going to be kind of in the background of his character because how can it not be? It's the history of cinema, and that
Mhm.
was when the black actors and filmmakers began to own and take over this industry.
You're right. Thank you for that. And not only does it have references and the energy of the black exploitation subgenre, but it also has a lot of westerns, samurai genre. So curiously, last week in Puerto Rico, we premiered a local film very different from this one, but it's a mashup of these same genres, westerns and samurais, but with a Puerto Rican Caribbean flavor, and it's more like a period piece, last century narrative. You should look into it. So anyway, tell me tell me a bit about this
Wait,
genre
what's it called?
mashup. Is it called Érase una vez en el Caribe? Once upon a time in the Caribbean.
Oh, that sounds amazing. I
It-
love. Well, I think all those genres share central themes, right? Of the
exactly.
hero's journey. They're all kind of Ron and Seven Samurai, and then you get that in Once Upon a Time in the West, or the Wild Bunch, and all these Pat
Mhm.
Garrett and Billy the Kid. Like they all share these central heroes' journeys, and they all do it with taking these objects that then define them, right? Whether it's a samurai sword or the Colt revolver or the Western boots or the cowboy hat. So I wanted to mix all of these together into a guy that clearly, in the same way, grew up on those, and was holding on to them. And it began to define him. So yeah, I love those films. I mean, that they're big.
I love how this film the mashup, but also the fluidity of all the genres. It doesn't feel like this genre, and then I have another thing with this genre. It is the fluidity of of your direction and the screenplay. It's incredible. So congratulations for that. I was talking to Terrence about. He told me the intention in a way. In a fun or different way to return to the image of the strong man, the masculinity of the era, but at the same time with a lot of humanity and heart. So tell me about the creation or the evolution of this character once you had just the script in your hand.
Well, I think it was interesting because it's about a guy who's not an alpha male, who's not a kind of super masculine guy, but has spent his life um kind of on being obsessed with that. And then when he comes face to face with that, he realizes that almost his weaknesses of his ignorance and his kind of nerdiness becomes his superpower. And that's kind of how we took it, right? Like Terrence actually brought a much softer side to the character than it was originally written. It was a little more No Country for Old Men, and he brought this very like beautiful humanity to it that I more relate to as an artist, which is, and I didn't want it to just be like a kick-ass action film. I wanted to be about a movie about what makes us obsessed with those type of movies. What is it that we're trying to get in touch with when we go watch Expendables, or we go watch Fast and the Furious, or we go kind of, what did Arnold Schwarzenegger mean to us growing up?
Yeah.
And what it did is it gave a lot of people that weren't necessarily these iconic masculine figures a feeling that they were okay being themselves.
But thank you for that. But it also has a lot of relevant topics like gentrification. It has some discrimination, racism. It's also about loyalty, and also about the love of the experience of watching a film in an actual classic theater. So you did it beautifully. So talking about characters and actors, you have uh, that cast, Terrence, Dolph, even John Savage. Did you write the movie, the film, thinking about this specific cast? You told me about Dolph, but what about Terrence and John?
Dolph originally was the one. Terrence, for George, it was kind of, we didn't know exactly. And then when Terrence was just suggested, I was like, I can't imagine anyone else, because he just has this ability. He's both like an extremely athletic, strong man, but he has an amazing sensitivity and intellectualism and artistic core of a piano player and a singer and a dancer and all of these things, and he really lives and breathes it. So I couldn't imagine anyone else. John Savage, I mean, I just kind of, you don't really get to pick and choose in film, but when I was like, oh my God, John Savage would be perfect, working with him was amazing. I mean, obviously The Deer Hunter, Do the Right Thing, The Thin Red Line. He was amazing to work with, and they just all kind of came together in their little ways, and all represented not only their characters but the history they came with, right? They all brought a certain, John Savage as kind of like the Vietnam kind of cinematic history, and Terrence with his kind of whole amalgamation from, you could say, like blaxploitation to just these amazing, prisoners, where he plays this amazingly vulnerable father. Like, that's what's amazing about Terrence, is you get hustle and flow, and you get prisoners.
Exactly.
Get that.
Exactly.
He can bring both sides to the character.
Excellent. I know. I will have to see this film again after this conversation with you. Because I love this type of conversation. I laughed a lot at Moses versus the Nazis. The Dolph films are pure gold. It has some Robert Rodriguez, Tarantino in it. Like these are the films that I would love to watch. So my question is, would you consider turning them into real actual movies?
Absolutely. I love those. I mean, I get that from, that's funny because that's the response I've got. A lot of people are like, I'd like to watch these whole movies. And I'm like, bring it on. Like, I would love to do like Necropolis but these were all like movies, like all based off of kind of the movies I grew up watching, like Necropolis. The opening one was Neon City with Michael Ironside. Like, it was a reference to that. And I guess Moses versus the Nazi was kind of an amalgamation of a bunch of them. But the Cyber Cartel is like Nemesis, by Albert Pune. Like these, they were all based off these films that I grew up loving.
Exactly. Bring the budget, and you'll do it. Get the budget and you'll do it. Oh, so how? Let's talk about for a minute about the musical selection. How much did you contribute to the musical selection? Because it is another of the big things of these films, or at least what I loved about the film. It has very contagious 70s vibe and energy, funky with maybe some elements of TV series like BoJack, Beretta, Streets of San Francisco. Tell me about the musical selection or the score.
I have to say I did the whole musical selection myself. I was the music supervisor of the movie. It was all done with conjunction with APM Library, who are a library, and they worked really hand in hand with us to give us open up a library of vintage recordings that was amazing. There's even 2 Ennio Morricone songs in there.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
Love
they're very like low key. Like they're
Okay.
not, they're not the big ones. They're
Okay.
like, because basically they gave me a whole library of what I could have available to me, and then I just spent weeks, if not months, sifting through, me and my editor trying different things, playing around. I'm really proud of it. I think that we got an, and then my composer Danny would come in, Daniel DeLaura, and just kind of tie things together with this kind of more grounded synthy emotionality through it. But I'm really proud. I love music. I'm really proud of the, we have like, I think we have like 67 needle drops in the movie. And
Wow.
yeah, and they're everything. And there's a lot of Fabio Frizzi, Stelvio Cipriani, Piero Umiliani. Like there's a lot of these amazing composers that
Close enough.
we have these very offbeat tracks from that really it was a really fun part of it and overwhelming.
Excellent. My time is up. Thank you so much for this incredible conversation. This is the type of film that I know it will age very well. 10, 20, 30 years from now, I know I will enjoy it. So as the first time. So thank you so much for giving this, bringing this beautiful film. So enjoy the rest of the day. Have a great day. And from Puerto Rico, un fuerte abrazo. Big hug. Thank you.
Thank you. That's the best compliment you could give to a film, is that it will age real well, honestly.
Thank you. Thank you very much.